Hey y'all, it's Bart. Welcome to another episode of Soccer for Us, where we are going to talk about the U.S. men's national team's victory over Mexico in the Concacaf Nations League final. Before we get into it, though, I do want to ask you to subscribe to this podcast. Make sure you are subscribing to Soccer Down Here on whatever podcatcher you're listening to right now, so you don't miss a single episode of Soccer for Us and the Soccer Down Here Daily Show. Also, make sure to follow the show on Twitter at Soccer for Us Pod. Now, to talk about this entire Nations League run, but most importantly, this final victory over Mexico, I have Caleb Cook, who is coming back. He gave his thoughts before the tournament. Now it's time for him to talk about them, his thoughts after the tournament, and specifically how he feels about beating Mexico again. Caleb, what time did you go to sleep last night?
I think I got in bed at like 1:30, maybe fell asleep 2:30, something like that. I kept jumping back on Twitter. Yeah, it was a long night, and then woke up at 5:30. So it's been a long day.
Man. Yeah, that is a long day for you. I am sorry you had to be up so early, but it was worth staying up late.
So worth it.
Was it not?
Oh, so worth it. My goodness. I'll drink 18 pots of coffee to have to experience that again. My goodness.
Whatever. You know, we endured it. We stayed up late and stayed up even later because we had to watch a lot of soccer. It was 120 minutes plus, all said and done. But the U.S. gets the victory. In fact, the last time the men's national team gained a win over Mexico in a competitive match was the 2013 World Cup qualifying cycle. The last time the U.S. had beaten Mexico in any sort of final, which at this point really just means Gold Cup, it was 2007 in the Gold Cup final in Chicago. Greg Berhalter himself was 0-2 against Eltree as the manager of the USMNT. But that all changed on Sunday night, June 6th in Denver. The USMNT came from behind not once, but twice to down Mexico in the championship final. The final score of 3-2 only begins to tell how crazy this match was. But the U.S. weathered the storm and rose above the chaos that ensued to find a winner through a PK conversion in stoppage time and then get a stop at the other end on a penalty kick to secure the win. Caleb, I mentioned that 3-2 only begins to talk about how crazy it was. Just your overall thoughts on the insanity that was this inaugural Concacaf Nations League final, a tournament that didn't exist 3 years ago, and a trophy that didn't exist 2 weeks ago.
I don't know if I have the words to describe my feelings were just elation. I mean, I'm pretty sure I woke up neighbors, and I'll apologize to them later. My wife was a trooper. Luckily, our kids are at camp. She went to bed, but she's a fan. She was like, "Oh, really? Okay, thanks. Let me go back to bed." But I was ecstatic. I mean, yeah, you said it didn't even exist until, like, the trophy itself didn't even exist till a couple of weeks ago. But I mean, none of that matters when you're playing Mexico, U.S. versus Mexico. I don't care if it's a friendly, a World Cup qualifier, if it's a tournament, if it's something that they just made up and they decided to play on the side of the street. I don't care. I'm going to get pumped. I'm going to be excited. And for it to be the way that it played out, you can't script that.
I don't think anyone could have. It literally had everything. And even that would have been too crazy for like a Hollywood writer.
And here's my I'm bummed because, like you said, why was it so late? And then there's zero reason that shouldn't have been on a national broadcast, big CBS, big Fox, something like that, ESPN, prime time, because that type of match, that type of performance takes casual fans and they bump to the next level. It takes people who just tuned in because, oh, there's U.S. is playing. Okay, let me watch it. They don't really know anything about soccer, and all of a sudden they become interested in the game. It had so much potential to draw these people in, and it was marketed to people like us. We're going to watch it no matter what. It bums me out a little bit. But I don't want to take away from the fact that I'm walking on cloud nine. I'm all day long. I've been thinking about how amazing this is.
Yeah, it was definitely the craziest show that Concacaf has put on in quite some time. And the US ended up coming through. And I think that this says a lot about the character of the team and the culture within the locker room that I have to very much applaud Greg Berhalter and his staff putting together, and the players themselves for coming up with this just brotherhood that they've, somehow managed to put together. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the resilience to, it was, what was it, 2 minutes in? Down 1-0?
Not even 2 minutes. It was a minute.
Not even
like
2.
5 seconds.
I mean, the worst possible way that you could have started the game, that's what happened. And, I'll give all credit to the players. I'll give all the credit to Mark McKenzie. He could have folded right there. But
Absolutely.
Did he play a perfect game? No. But he made some big 1v1 stand-up tackles. He almost had a goal. I'm sure we'll talk about it later. I was really proud of him. And, just like him, all the guys, we could have just gone into like a defensive shell, and just taken the brunt of attack the entire night. But we stood up, we punched them back. It was, you talk about a heavyweight knockout fight. That's drama right there.
Yeah, it was better than the other knockout fight that happened the same time. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this game, right? You mentioned the horrible start that the U.S. had. Let's jump into what actually happened in this match. And we'll start with the starting 11 for the United States. You had Zach Steffen in goal. Across the back, it was a back three-ish. It was lined up as a back three to start. It kind of morphed as the game went on. You had Tim Ream on the left, John Brooks in the middle, and Mark McKenzie on the right. Your middle four were Serginho Dest, Callan Acosta getting the start, Weston McKennie, and DeAndre Yedlin also getting the start on the right. Up top, you had Christian Pulisic out left, Josh Sargent in the middle, and Gio Reyna up top. Same thing you had in the first match. Now, what was your initial thought when you saw this U.S. lineup?
Well, there was a CBS report that came out talking about the fact that it's probably going to, be a 3-5-2 or some 3-4-3, something like that. So I had kind of an inclination there, and then it even said something about Tim Ream's possibly going to be in it. You never know with these reports. Sometimes they're head on, sometimes they're a mile away. So I guess I was prepared in that sense to see a Tim Ream. I'm not the type of person that's going to go on Twitter and bash players. I don't do that. These guys are professional athletes. Some of these people that are sitting there talking about this guy's trash, this guy's terrible. They can't even make a 6-yard pass on target with no defenders, right? That's just the way it is. So I don't like to do that. That being said, we talked about it in the semifinal, leading up to it, if he might play, whatever. He's lost a step. I think it is completely fair to say. And it was exposed. There's no other way to say it. You can't sugarcoat it. I understand why Berhalter made the decision. I say I understand.
His logic was correct.
Yes.
His logic was correct. I think his logic was the use of that logic, or the thinking that logic was valid, was flawed. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use that exact same sentence later on in this episode when we talk about some referee decisions. But
it's a tough spot. Look at Dest. Look at McKenzie. These guys are young. They were clearly affected by nerves. That you can't excuse that, or you can't say they weren't. I mean, it was obvious. So there is something to be said for experience. At the same time, though, it can't just be experience. You got to have the skill set or the physical abilities to go with that experience. If you talk about experience, then Oguchi Onyewu was up in the stands. Put him in there. He's got experience, right? But he can't do it.
Right.
And that's the same thing. Like, okay, Tim Ream has the experience. Yeah, sure, okay. But there's no way Berhalter doesn't know that he's going to get burnt every time. I don't understand that move.
We will talk more about Tim Ream specifically when we do player evaluations. We'll give each player a grade because I don't have a lot to say about Tim Ream. That's actually false. I have very little to say about him because it's a very succinct point of view that I have about Tim Ream right now.
Yeah.
DeAndre Yedlin starting did not shock me. Cannon didn't play fantastically against Honduras. I think if you're playing a 3-4-3, Yedlin makes more sense as a right wing back or winger, if you will, that far wide right-sided player. That made sense. And I actually thought Kellen Acosta, there were some issues. I'm not going to say he played perfectly, but I thought Kellen Acosta was, when I saw that lineup, I was like, okay, Greg, in my opinion, you got something right putting Acosta and McKinney together because, and I know that Tyler Adams was healthy, but being healthy and being match fit are completely different concepts.
Completely different.
And I don't think it would be fair to expect Tyler Adams to have been match fit in a final when it really, I thought he was brought on in a good way to kind of close out the game. So I agree with Berhalter's decision in midfield. We'll talk about Yunus Musa at the end. I was a little shocked we didn't see him in the starting lineup or at all, but we'll have that conversation after we talk about this game. So that was the U.S. lineup. Mexico, just real quick from back to front, you had Guillermo Ochoa in goal. Memo has been there for forever. Moreno, Alvarez, Araujo, In the back, you had Gallardo, Rodriguez, Herrera, and Rodriguez in the midfield. And up top, Tecatito, Chucky, and Uriel Acuna, which I really like Acuna, but he wasn't as effective this game. So I will credit Tim Ream for being a little bit good about keeping Acuna at bay. But, look, this is about the best lineup Mexico could put out. There's no doubt about that. I think given what, both of these squads had, this was the like you said, two heavyweight hitters. These were the best lineups, the best talent pool you'll see in CONCACAF. It was great. It got crazy, and we are going to talk about that because it started very early on getting crazy. First half begins, and U.S. takes the kickoff, kind of passes it around, goes long, loses the goal kick. And that kind of sets up how we end up conceding the first goal. Mexico goes long off a goal kick. We kind of bat it around. Mexico finally gets the ball on the ground. Acosta loses a midfield duel. It goes out to Yedlin, who gets beat a little bit. He can't really track back, but he kind of does. And then Brooks wins a duel. Then Yedlin wins again and passes it back to McKenzie. And Mark McKenzie, I'll just sum it up by saying he was too casual. I think that's the best way to describe what happened. And so Yedlin plays it back to him. McKenzie takes a touch very casually and allows for who was it there? It was thank you. To take a weird, a good angle to defend the pass. And McKenzie very clearly telegraphs, opens his body up to the right side, saying that he's going to pass to Yedlin. And, it's nipped right off his foot and on goal. It was a good finish. It wasn't a hard finish. And U.S. is down 1-0 at like a minute and 15 seconds. You said it. It was the worst possible start we could have had. Yep. But, it is what it is. What was your thought immediately when Tecatito Corona put that ball top bins over Zach Steffen?
I think it's I think it's it goes back to experience and Mark McKenzie being, he's been solid through the competition. I don't think he had any idea how hard they were going to press. And they had this idea of building out the back, which is great. That's fantastic. But like you said, it was just too casual. He takes it and he's thinking, all right, I'm just going to make a play, a safe pass. Yedlin's open, but he got closed down so quickly, and I don't think he didn't expect it. And that's 100% experience. And then it's also the nerves of, okay, well, I don't want to hit the long pass. I want to do what coach is telling me to do. Everybody wants to harp on the fact that, well, yeah, these guys are playing in Europe. I understand that. But the fact of the matter is these kids are young and they don't have experience in these types of matches. It's a different ballgame. Every single U.S. men's national team legend will talk about it. They've talked about playing in Europe. And then they say, but going down and playing a, Guatemala team, which who are they? But it's a dogfight. It's not the same. Mm-hmm. So I think it was just one of those. You chalk it up to youth. You chalk it up to inexperience. It's not. He's not a bad player. I saw somebody say something about
he's not at all.
Again, are you kidding me? What, for a mistake? Come on.
For what? And let's be honest. It was an unfortunate mistake because it happened so close to goal. If that mistake happens 5 more yards up the field, it might not be a goal. Or if it happens, it just happened. It was a cataclysmic mistake because a lot of factors were played into it. Yeah. I will say that I think he may have had he not immediately taken that touch and turned his body to Yedlin, I think he may have had, he telegraphed it really bad. I think he had Acosta in the middle, who at the very least could have triangle theory. You give it to Acosta. Acosta can then ping it out wide to a Yedlin, and the same thing has been accomplished. Or you just boot it long.
Yeah,
and I hate to say that. But,
this is super nitpicky, but if Yedlin's watching Corona close McKenzie down, you would hope that he would drop a bit more square to McKenzie.
Yeah, he needed to be he was in front of him. Yeah.
But I think, I don't know if he thought that Corona was going to close him down that quickly. I think it was just, it happens. And I will say, a lot of people are saying, they're blaming Kellen Acosta for the goal, right? He lost possession.
He gave up the ball. Yeah, he did. So did three other people.
He lost possession. But, if we're going to do that, then every goal that happens, it's like, well, yeah, but the striker.
Every goal happens for the most part.
Right.
Possession.
Should Acosta have lost possession? No, but come on.
Yeah, look, here's the fact of the matter is Jackson Ewell lost a lot of possession in this tournament. Kellen Acosta had some issues with that as well. Mm-hmm. We still do not have great depth at this position.
They're backups. People that are losing their minds about it.
They are backups.
What do you expect?
They are.
They're not,
it happens. But at the end of the day, McKenzie made the most fatal error. We paid for it 1-0. But I have to say that we answered almost immediately. 2 minutes later, maybe 3 minutes later, there's a chance for Josh Sargent where we play him long. Mexico misplays it, and Sargent's in on goal, and he loses his balance, which Josh Sargent, dude, you do have to eventually start scoring goals, because it's hard for me to say that the reason you're in this team is because you press and defend well when you're the number 9. And at the end of the day, you do have to score. Anyway, DeAndre Yedlin gets a big. I point this out because this is something that I was nitpicky about with the referee all night long. 8th minute, DeAndre Yedlin fouls Corona. It's a foul. Whatever. We move on. Mm-hmm. John, but he immediately has to have a conversation with Yedlin, and it's like, why? That's a conversation that a referee can have. Just you can be like, hey, careful.
I got so irritated at the exact same moment.
So I bring that up because Brooks comes in to talk about it. And then a minute later, John Brooks commits a foul, says something to the ref, and gets a yellow card in the 9th minute. So anyway, I tweeted this out, and I'm going to talk about it. 12th minute. I'm not going through every single timestamp I made, but these were important, and I do want to talk about this. I call it the WTF goal kick. 12th minute. We get rid of we get out of an attack. Mexico, I think it was off a free kick that Brooks conceded. We get a goal kick out of it. Great, cool. McKenzie is standing like 2 yards from Zach Steffen. The ball is on the goal line. They're taking a goal kick. McKenzie taps it to Steffen, which fine, whatever. Steffen, I don't know, decides that he's going to take a touch. It took him a couple seconds to take a touch. He took a touch, took a couple seconds. Goes to the middle to Acosta, who then scuffs, bloops, whatever. He's trying to just do that quick, pass, redirect from Steffen's pass, redirected out wide to McKenzie. It goes to McKenzie, but it also goes 20 feet up in the air. And McKenzie loses possession, and all of a sudden now we're defending an attack in our final third. What the hell was that goal kick? Why? And this is a point that I will bring up against Zach Steffen because he was atrocious with the ball at his feet playing out of the back. He was.
It was almost like he was trying to be too confident or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like he was trying to be real calm on the ball, but almost like a forced calm. Does that make sense? Like almost like
he did this multiple times where he was like, I'm going to be cool.
Yeah, it was like a false confidence type thing. But I'm with you. I remember seeing that, and obviously, like I said, I got up early this morning, went to work. I just got home a while ago. I haven't even been able to rewatch fully. I've seen little clips. I've been on Twitter, but I remember watching it live, thinking, "What are we doing?" In the famous words of Taylor Twellman,
yeah.
What are we doing?
What are we doing? Yeah,
and
it was so weird because it was like, why are you taking the goal kick that way?
What was just if you're going to do that, just send it. And I feel bad a little bit for Acosta because
what bothered me is he had the reason Acosta was he was under pressure. Brooks was wide open on the left side with Tim Ream next to him. You had two center backs.
I don't think Acosta even had a clue. I don't think he had a clue that was coming to him though. It was more of one of those.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, that's my point. Is Steffen had options and he chose the wrong option after taking time to make the wrong option. And he did this multiple times. There were a couple of times in the game where he took a touch, he took forever to take a touch, took forever to then make a decision. A Mexican player closes him down and he sends it long. Now, part of that is obviously on players up the field need to do something. But there were often times where it was like, just give it to the center back who's open 20 yards from you.
Yeah.
That was the thing that Steffen did all night that really annoyed me.
Or, you know what? I don't care. People, it's not football. It's not beautiful. Like, what? Send it long. Like, I don't care. Get rid of it.
But keep it in bounds. Like, that was the problem is he hit them out of bounds.
Yeah.
So moving on, I want to say that our press actually looked pretty decent. It was a weird press where we would press high, and then once we got beat, we kind of retreated into a mid block. It was a nice change up from Berhalter, especially during the middle of the half when it was clear Mexico was so possessive, and you just can't press all the time against a team like that. So it was smart to press the center backs of Mexico and allow them to play out of the back if Ochoa wanted to, and then retreat into that mid block. So that was nice. 19th minute, Serginho Dest goes on a hero run, man. Oh, my goodness. He runs around literally the entire right side of the Mexican defense. He does a couple moves on the Steffen actually throws it. So not with his feet. He catches the ball off of a dangerous cross, immediately sees Dest, throws it out wide to Dest. Dest beats I forget who it was, but beats the far right attacker on the sideline, does another one, and goes out of bounds as the ball's sliding down the sideline and catches up to it. And we didn't really get anything out of it. It was we didn't have anyone advanced enough. We had Sargent all the way up at the goal, but no one was really coming in. I think he tried to hit Pulisic late, but I just wanted to point out that run was really cool. I felt like the rest of the half really, until we want to talk about, until we get to the next section, which are goals, is a lot of the U.S. in attack not being quite in the right position or being too hesitant to make a decision. And that was a theme that we saw against Honduras. It's a thing that we oftentimes see from this team when they are facing good opponents, and that's concerning.
Yeah. I think it's youth. I think it's like we're going to harp on it all night long. It's inexperience. But also, I think there's this romanticism with Man City and the way they play and the Man City goal, right? Quote unquote. These just 10, 11 pass possessions where you build up and then it's like a cross, a run, a split the defender, and a tap in goal.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, that's amazing, right? Okay, we're not Man City. Sometimes I get frustrated. It's like, listen, hey, you're allowed to shoot outside of the 18. You are. You can take a shot and then get a rebound. I mean, we watched Honduras do it against us. We watched Mexico do it against us. Why won't we do it?
Yeah.
The last time that I can remember us taking a shot outside the 18, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, there might have been a couple just, whiff or just rips for no reason at all. But, I mean, an actual shot was Serginho Dest versus Jamaica.
Mm-hmm. And he also hit another one today last night off of a corner kick. But, yeah, no, that's exactly it.
Oh, yes, I do.
Hit it. Yeah.
Oh,
but
it was beautiful.
It's the one guy. Yeah, it's just something to like. I'm with you. It's probably youth. We need to grow into the system, grow into ourselves, but be confident and take the shot, man. Because in Concacaf, you're not going to get opportunities like that all the time.
I think all they do in training is these give and goes, moves, and these set progressions, and trying to get these specific, again, Man City goals. That's what they're trying to do, and so they lose the individual just, hey, make something happen sometimes, or they lose the playground style or pickup style of soccer.
And I would prefer, honestly, I mean, we can talk, if you remember the Honduras match where Reyna, instead of laying it off to Sargent, took a rip for himself. And I'm like, you know what? If a kid's going to be greedy 10 yards from goal, let him do it.
Absolutely. I had no problem with that, especially because what he did to get to the shot. Yeah. If he'd have found Sargent, that's a next level awareness. I'm just going to be honest.
Beautiful. I would love it. But he also didn't have but anyway.
I have no problem with the shot.
Let's let these players grow a little bit with each other. That's the name of the game there. 24th minute, Mexico looks like they go up 2-0. They get a corner kick. I don't know if you're aware of this, but like Tata Martino's teams play short corners. Did you know that? Because we didn't seem to know that. Greg Berhalter, who coached against Tata Martino in MLS, who should have known this, was that our team looked very unprepared for a short corner twice. Yeah. This one, short corner is taken. It goes to I forget. Sorry, I don't know all the Mexican players and their positions, but it's taken to a guy running toward the corner kick. So it's you run toward it. He passes it to you. He passes it back out to you at the top of the box. So you've got a better angle to whip it across. It's a much more dangerous cross. And it was a great cross. Goes to the back post, and there's just a clear, wide open header. I don't know who Brooks, McKinney, or Acosta thought they were marking, but no one marked anyone. And Moreno heads it into the goal, and Stefan had nothing. Like, he couldn't have saved it. It just goes right by him. We were very lucky that this was an offside because we didn't necessarily step up high. Like, it wasn't like we said, when they do this, we're stepping up to force them offside. We just didn't pick up the man who happened to be open.
We got lucky. Yeah, we got lucky. It was, I mean, like I said, I haven't rewatched it, but from what I remember watching the replays, it looks like it was Acosta who he got caught ball watching. It was very.
They didn't know what their responsibilities were.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if they were doing zone man marking. I don't know, but I do know for a fact that you watch Acosta, you can see his eyes glued to the ball, and it's like, hey, the ball doesn't matter if you're not paying attention to the guy who's standing behind you, who's wide open. And it looks like McKinney lost his man, but I think McKinney was aware to the fact that Acosta lost his man, and he tried to make up for it. But because he was making the play, he jumped with the guy making the header. It makes it look like McKinney lost his man. But I'm going to be honest,
McKinney lost his man behind him.
Yeah.
But yes, because he was looking at the ball, recognized the man behind Acosta, who Acosta had lost. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But luckily it wasn't a goal. It was ruled offside. The CBS broadcast said they didn't think it would be. I felt as soon as I saw the replay, I was like, yeah, it was offside.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
It was pretty clear and obvious. And to the U.S. credit, they basically put their hands up immediately and was like, that was offside. It doesn't count. We take the goal. So now we have an offside kick. And basically immediately from that, we take a quick restart long to Josh Sargent. He goes wide right, hits a cross. It wasn't a great cross, and there weren't a lot of people in the box, but it's just kind of one of those things where you're like, hey, hit it and see what happens. Crosses it, it gets blocked out for a corner kick. I loved this corner kick so much for two reasons. First, the guy who scores, Gio Reyna, he's the guy closest to the goal to start the runs, and he just kind of makes a short run right in between the top of the six and really right in the middle of the six, and he's basically just in front of Memo Ochoa, which is good because there's a Mexico player on the post, so he's not offside. Which, I mean, one, you can't be offside on a corner kick, but in that way you expect like, hey, if there's a header or there's deflection, I'm still probably going to be onside. So it's a very like putting a guy in front of a keeper without actually physically putting him in front of the keeper. And it just adds a little bit of like, as a goalkeeper, I can say this, it's just one of those things you're like, oh shit, I got to like account for this guy.
Yeah.
So I loved that. The second thing I loved was Weston McKennie was the farthest man back and the last man to start his run. And holy crap, Weston McKennie gets up and heads this ball. It comes in from the right side. Pooley out with an outswinger, and McKennie rises up, redirects it keeps it going to that far post, and Ochoa's beat. Like, no offense to like that was a phenomenal header. Ochoa had no chance, and it just unluckily does it. Like it hits the post, and it's just so unlucky for McKennie, but lucky for us that it goes right to Reyna, who calmly puts it home. Absolute joy. Like, the fact that we had come back and after not looking great, got a goal off a set piece somewhere, Alexia Lalas is, I don't know.
Yeah.
Cleaning up a mess.
Brand new game at that point. You start over. It's 0-0 at that point, honestly.
Especially after you had just conceded a goal that was taken back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was a huge morale boost. It's like, hey, boys, we're still in it. We can play.
Yep.
We got a little lucky, okay, but look at this. It's 1-1, and you could see, like, I mean, it was like you just took a balloon and just put a big old puff of air in there. I mean, the guys you could see it almost.
We needed that because up to that point, we really hadn't had a whole lot of possession. We hadn't connected balls that well. We are connected passes that well. We were struggling. It was not great from the U.S. for the first half. Two more points that I want to talk about. 35th minute. So that makes it 1-1. So we're tied. Like you said, new game, level again. We can restart. McKennie nips a pass from Ochoa to Gallardo and goes in on goal. He plays Gio Reyna wide right to go in on goal, but his cross goes a little too hot. It's like fizzed across the line, and it was just too far in front of Josh Sargent. But that was about the window he had. A little unfortunate. But just another example, the press actually kind of working, which was nice to see. It was like we were putting enough pressure on them to not have easy passes. They had to play to back their line, and then Ochoa tries to break it, and McKennie instantly recognizes it, jumps the pass, and starts it in on goal. That was great. I loved seeing the press actually work.
Yeah, I think it was just one of those. It's like when you're a young team and you're playing a more experienced group, a lot of times you want to back up and you're going to let them have the ball. You just don't want to concede, right? You're playing very conservative. And that was one of those moments where it's like, look, hey, we're here to play. We're not going to let you have the ball and let you do what you want. We did sometimes. I mean, I should be honest. But there were moments where, look, we're letting that dogs go and we're getting after you. And it worked. It happened. We made it. We had a few opportunities off of that. It'll get better. The press wasn't always
it'll
great.
hopefully be better against a team that's not Mexico too.
Yeah,
who
absolutely.
Are very good.
I mean, they've got great quality. But you could tell there were moments when we had the press really working. You could see Mexico. They looked a bit worried. I'm not going to sit there and say they were scared. But I think they are or were very well aware that the U.S. is someone that you've got to actually be worried about. And after the result of last night, I think they are very well aware of that fact.
Last chance I want to talk about in this first half, 43rd minute. Not a great back pass from John Brooks to Zach Steffen, but he had plenty of time.
Mm.
And it's kind of bobbling and bouncing to him. And Zach Steffen, I don't know, like takes a touch with the top of his foot up and knocks it in like right up in front of him, like he's basically trying to juggle it, and then just volleys it long. And he had time, he had players around him. This is something that Zach Steffen repeatedly did, where it was like, no, if we're going back to you as the goalkeeper, we need you to help us resettle and restart possession, not kick it long.
Mm-hmm.
There are times you kick it long, absolutely. But for the most, as a goalkeeper, you have to know what those times are.
Mm-hmm.
And in a possession-based system, your first thought should always be looking around to figure out where your first pass is, and then you can easily just take a touch there and give it to someone. So he hits it long, and Mexico regains possession, and that immediately leads to the Chucky Lozano goal, chance on goal. Steffen saves it, but it was a clip ball to Lozano. He's in on goal. He was onside. No one tracked him. We got lucky that Steffen saved us, but man, he created that on his own because he just gave it away cheaply.
Yeah, I think it was another one of those moments where it was that like overconfidence type or that false confidence type thing. It was
right.
Like
Why
you said,
he
had plenty of time.
John Brooks played the ball back to him like at the end of the center circle. Like you had 40 yards of no one coming at you. Yes, it was bobbling, but do better, man.
They work on these progressions all the time, right? When the ball comes back to you, where are your outlets? You have options. It's like a quarterback who, when you drop back, you've got your first read. If he's covered, your second, third read.
Yeah,
that's what they have. They run these, they drill these progressions.
Especially when you have a back three that you should always have two guys wide and at least one or two guys centrally.
I don't know why he didn't just release or play, because he had some options, but it was almost like he was trying to be Brooks from Honduras. Yeah. Like, hey, you're not Brooks, but just
and that's the issue. It wasn't just that he just hit it long, because like a couple of times I could see what he was trying to do of hit a ball, those angled balls to the sideline, but he didn't hit them. He missed.
Yeah.
So what's the point? Anyway, so that's the first half. It ends 1-1. We're tied at halftime with Mexico. My first half thoughts were that, holy crap, we should be lucky we're tied.
Yeah, 100%. I think everybody was. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was happy. If you'd have told me that we would have gone in, 1-1 at the half before the match started, I would have taken it all day long.
I wrote a piece for Soccer Down Here talking about how you could judge, had the U.S. grown. And after that first half, I'm like, we didn't pass the ball well. We didn't attempt a lot of passes. That's for sure. We definitely didn't connect a lot of passes. Mm-hmm. They were out possessing us big time. Our press was working, but not super consistently. But it was better. But Mexico was dominating possession. They had plenty of shots on goal. It was everything that I said we couldn't do against Mexico, and we were. And so I'm not going to lie, at the first half, even with that goal from McKinney, I was like, man, Greg Berhalter I'm not a guy who's going to say someone needs to get fired. But I was like, man, we got to start asking questions of if this style of play, your specific system, is good enough, because it wasn't good enough in the first half. Now, the second half starts, and immediately I can tell that we have a much better approach. We got a little bit more direct, but not in a kick it long type of way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, there were definitely some changes.
Yeah, there were changes, and it was like, okay, good. We're simplifying it. We're not trying to build everywhere, but we're trying to find open guys and just make it simple. That was great. It wasn't kick it long, but it was like kind of what we saw against Canada in the November 2019 match, where it was like, oh, let's just use what we have, and that's quick guys who are athletic and are able to get forward quickly, and it kind of worked a little bit better.
Yeah, at half you could tell he had talked to them. He'd made some changes. They came out. It was a little bit more aggressive, I would say, especially right there at the beginning of the second half. But tactics aside, I will say this. The players play for Berhalter. And
Yeah.
whether or not you want to say he's a good tactician or not, that's beside the point, because I questioned some of the tactics. But when we'll talk about it later,
We'll get to
when
that very,
scores,
very specifically soon.
yeah, when Weston scores, where does he go? Because I'm telling you,
Yeah.
Berhalter has something. There's something about him, the culture, and the fact that these boys had fight, which was almost, it was like the first time I'd seen that type of fight in a long time. Because after the Klinsmann era, it was almost like, collect a paycheck and let's go. So to see this, like, you're not pushing my boy around. I will stomp you.
Yeah.
They had each other's backs. They were fighting for each other. It was really cool to see. Like I said, that was just a little tangent. It has nothing to do with the tactics or anything. It was just something that I noticed, and it was really cool to see.
That was the tone for the second half onward. Starting the timeline of the second half, really, like I said, you could just see an immediate attitude change from the U.S., and they were much more confident out there. 49th minute, Kellyn Acosta gets a yellow card for a really weak foul on a Mexican player. And again, I mentioned this to bring it up later, because this is something that I had an issue with the referee, is that I don't think his calls were incorrect. I think his management in the game was terrible. And this foul that Acosta conceded was like, okay, just keep him playing. It was similar to, not the same, but it was a similar type of foul in the first half when Yedlin gets like obstructed trying to run through a ball, and a guy just is there and like kind of sticks his leg out. And I was like, okay, so like a guy hits a pass and he's trying to run through and Acosta's still there. Like, why is that a yellow card? Apparently, Mexico players can do whatever the hell they want and basically not get yellow cards in this game. But U.S. players got a yellow card for, I don't know, being too mean. It was weird. Especially considering what Mexico players did the entire rest of this half and the rest of the game.
That was my problem. I have no problem. If you want to call it a yellow card, fantastic. Whatever.
Yeah.
But 2 minutes.
It's not a yellow card foul. I can see why you gave it a yellow card. It was late. It was behind the play. It was unnecessary.
Sure. Absolutely. Sure. The ball had gone and it was a play on the man. Whatever. You want to call it a yellow, fantastic. But 3 minutes later, when Mexico does the exact same thing to Pulisic, no call?
Nothing.
Or actually, I think they called it a foul, but it wasn't.
They call it a foul. They don't. There wasn't a talking to. Nothing. It was just okay, cool.
And that was my problem. There's zero consistency there, and that's my issue.
56th minute. We get I will say this about the set piece. I know a lot of people said, "Oh, we need to create chances during run and play and not just off set pieces." We got a lot of corners. And that comes from creating chances. You don't just win a corner because the ref gives it to you. Like you have to build up play. You have to get the ball in the attacking third. You have to build a chance and create a corner. So we get a corner. This was almost, I felt like this should have been a goal. But Memo Ochoa showed, again, why he's one of the best keepers in Concacaf. He might be the second best to Keylor Navas, who didn't play in this tournament. Good chance at the corners. Swung long and high over everyone. This is that Sergiño Dest Valley that I thought had a chance. And it just, I think the way he hit it, it just didn't give enough room. He didn't hit it far enough inside the goal because it kind of tailed out. But that was a nice little volley. 60th minute subs. And we're going to talk about these. Tim Weah comes on for Sergiño Dest. Dest didn't have a great game is the argument.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit ineffective. I think also he had a lot of minutes on him. At least it wasn't – I'm trying to remember the exact match, but when we brought off an attack – we're chasing a goal. We brought off an attacker and subbed in Daniel Lovitz. Do you remember that?
Yeah. It was it may have been the Gold Cup final in 2000.
I was about to say, I think it was the Gold Cup. So to pull off Sergiño Dest and put on –
It was an attacking player, Tim Weah.
Yes. Yeah, and I was super pumped to see Tim Weah. I thought I wasn't sure exactly what was going to happen. Do what?
I want more of Tim Weah.
Oh, how can you not? It's like I've always said about Tim Weah. When he is on the field, he plays with such determination, and then just, I mean, intentionality every time he has the ball. He's not looking like some
Preach.
people, they get the ball and they're immediately like, where's my back pass? Tim Weah, it's like I'm looking at 3 or 4 other options, then maybe I'll back pass because he is trying to get to the goal. I mean, you need that. And I thought he made a big difference. There were times where he got on the ball. I wish he got on the ball in some more dangerous areas, but he made things happen. He was energetic, and he made some amazing defensive plays. The guy was everywhere, and he deserves more minutes, 100%.
He does.
But yeah, he came in for Dest.
My issue isn't Dest coming off necessarily for Weah. I think the issue is that makes Tim Ream your left back. Fully. At this point, we're in a 4-back system. Yedlin's your right back. Your 2 center backs are McKenzie and Brooks, and Tim Ream is out there as your left back.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it wasn't a good decision, but it clearly was not a good decision.
I'm not sure exactly what the rationale was there. I tweeted it that Tim, or that, probably Anthony Robinson needs to come in something, because Ream had already been burned 3 or 4 times.
He outran a guy one time. I do want to point that out.
Yeah.
The guy did not know where the ball was going, but Tim Ream did outrun him.
Well, there you go. Hey, you know what? Maybe that's why he was left on. But, I mean, something needed to be done, and that's one of those where I scratch my head. What do you say? I don't know.
Tim Ream is the left back you bring on if you need to throw on another center back who is in a back 5, or like, hey, we have 10 minutes and we just need to kill a game. Tim, your job is to win the ball and kick it, or that kind of thing. Like, I get that he's a possessive player. He is very good playing on that left side with his feet. But, dude, we'll talk about this when we get to the player evals. I did not like Tim Ream staying. Anyway, moving on. Sargent had a kind of a chance, 61st minute. We cut off a pass out of their build-out. Pulisic gets the ball in the center and just drives forward. I love this. And McKinney makes that run in between the left back, or the left center back, and the center back.
Mm-hmm.
Pulisic finds them. McKinney takes just a rip that Ochoa saves. It's still though in play. And Sargent, this is, again, I don't think this is like, if you're looking at XG, this is not a very high XG chance, right? Like, this is very close to 0. But, dude, put it on target at least. And it just bounced up, and he's trying to get there, and I get it. He's jumping, and he's trying to jump and volley the ball at the same time. But, like, it's just another one of those instances where you're like, this dude is maybe not as good enough in front of goal as we need.
Yeah, it's a tough one. The ball's moving away from you. You're moving away from goal, and you're trying to get – and that ball, it was shoulder height, and he knew –
it was tough.
Getting his head to it, he's not going to get nearly enough power on there to even trouble Ochoa at all. So I think he thought the only way that I'm going to cause any trouble at all is to get my foot on this, and he just couldn't get around it. Now, if it had been straight up, that's one thing. The fact that it was moving away from goal, and he was as well, and he's trying to come across his body, that's a tough one. But, it's almost like the whole wide receiver.
It's not his fault. It's just another example of it just not.
Well, it's a tough one because he did get his foot to it. It's
tough.
like it's like the whole wide receiver thing. If it hits your hands, you should catch it, right?
Yeah, and
come on. It was one of those because he got his foot to it, and you just wish he'd have gotten his hips a little higher on that.
Yeah.
But
because even if it just is like towards goal, but he just skied it. Anyway, 62nd minute. This is honestly, I think this may have changed the entire match. Zach Steffen gets injured. It sucks. He comes off the line to collect the ball. He kind of I think what it was is he kind of stopped very suddenly, and that put some weird unknown stress on his knee that tweaked something. Yeah. I don't know what it is. We haven't heard anything. I'm sure we'll find out probably after
weird.
the friendly.
I don't know. You think we'd hear something by now?
It depends on if It depends. It didn't look like, I don't know what swelling there was. I didn't see. He was clearly able to walk on it. Okay, walk,
Yeah.
not obviously not play. We might hear something after the Costa Rica friendly, probably after this, or maybe tomorrow. Who knows? Like, I'm sure today is not the day that they're
Hopefully
shipping him off to. Yeah, just because he needs to know what he's going to do. But he gets injured, and Ethan Horvath comes on for Zach Steffen, and at the same time, Jordan Pefok replaces Josh Sargent up top. So 2 subs at the same time. So that's, again, I think that changed the game because I thought Ethan Horvath was big. So Horvath comes on for Steffen. Jordan Pefok comes on for Josh Sargent. I thought one of those subs was really impactful. I think the other one was just kind of more of the same. But anyway, 70th minute. This one was, I thought we had taken the lead. Corner kick for the U.S. Pooley puts it right in that sweet spot in between the penalty mark and the top of the 6. And McKinney, I think it was like Jordan dunking from the foul line. That's how far he jumped and flew in the air. Had so much pace, man. And he heads it, unfortunately, right down the center of the goal. And Ochoa is just there to save it. And then the second corner is cleared by Mexico. But that was a chance. And I think if that is literally not, if it's a yard either way, that's a goal. Because I don't think Ochoa, I don't think any goalkeeper is getting to that.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, thinking it was in, or that it was going to go in, and that immediate that was.
Well, we had another one 6 minutes later when Mark McKenzie basically did the same thing.
And
this one was harder to save for Ochoa because it was he saved it literally on the line.
Yeah. Now I think his was more directly at him, but still, we were having
the
our
height
way
on the ground, being right at the literally right on the line.
Oh,
but you can complain that we really only got our best scoring opportunities off of set pieces, and that is valid. However, we had to create opportunities in the attacking third to win corner kicks, and I will take that as a positive, especially against Mexico.
Absolutely,
I will say, right? Because how else are you I would rather have corner kicks than not.
Well,
In
the way I see it, when you're in World Cup qualifying and all these teams, we're scrapping, we're not, there's nothing coming from the run of play because both teams are being real conservative because the result matters so much, right? When you're in those situations, then you have to lean heavier on set pieces. So the fact that we showed we're no joke when it comes to set pieces.
You have John Brooks, Mark McKenzie, or even a guy like, let's just say Miles Robinson for fun, and a guy like Weston McKennie. Those are 3 targets that are dangerous. Let's pretend Walker Zimmerman gets a call up. He's great on set pieces too.
Aaron Long is good on set pieces.
Maybe it's not Sargent, but Pefok, and DK pretty good on set pieces too. So we should be able to get goals off of set pieces in World Cup qualifying.
Listen, Weston McKennie's jumping and heading attributes on FIFA 22 are going to be a little bit higher. I can tell you that right now.
They're going up. So that was the last scoring chance we really had. Maybe not the last scoring chance, but good scoring chance there in the 76th minute. 2 minutes later, Diego Lainez comes on for Oriol Antuna, and things go bad real quickly. Literally, he comes on, they throw the ball to him, he megs Tim Ream and heads on goal. This is where the tide shifted to Mexico, and this is where Greg Berhalter should have immediately said, "Oh shit, I need to replace Tim Ream."
Yeah,
and he was so slow to make that adjustment.
Like I said, I had tweeted about A-Rob coming in for Tim Ream just because he had kept getting burned. This is where it was like, okay, you see what just happened. Let's make a change now. And I don't know if he was trying to make that change.
It's not like you can make an immediate change. You can't But
he was thinking about it, and maybe if an opportunity didn't present itself, I don't know. But it wasn't long after.
You could have seen Diego Lainez up at that center mark and said, or center line and said, "Ooh, probably need to get someone in for Tim Ream."
Oh,
So that happens in the 78th minute, literally within the same time frame that he comes on, and then a minute later he scores. And this pissed me off so much. I'm not even gonna lie, because it was like, well, who could have seen that coming? Literally every other human,
every single person watching,
every single person. And this is something I'm gonna take. Tim Ream. Some people are like, oh, well, you know, he didn't really have help. Why did he need help? The problem was Tim Ream was shifted so far over with the back line that he didn't see Lainez, who was wide open on the left side. And so they hit this cross to Lainez, who's screaming at the top of his lungs, Gio Reyna style, give me the ball. And they make the defenders collapse on him. I forget who passes it to him, but he makes the players collapse on him, the defenders do. And he squirts it out to Lainez, and Tim Ream had left him be because he had got sucked into that play, which again is the problem where you went from a back three to a back four, because in a back three, sure, your center backs are probably going to be a little bit more grouped together, but in a back four, your left back does have to account for the wide player, and he didn't. And Lainez gets it. Tim Ream has to shift all the way out there, so he's already got his body momentum going one way. Lainez very smartly feigns to go to the goal line, cuts it back, and Tim Ream is just grasping at air. Acosta maybe could have helped him out there, but it's just like Tim Ream got done, and Lainez gets, as soon as he saw Tim Ream not fully in control of his body, he had stretched out and stepped to him and couldn't do anything else. He hit that shot and it was in.
I had a couple problems with this. His positioning. Ream, he had been taken to the end line a couple times, and Taylor Rockwell from Total Soccer Show said he made a good point where he was like, you know, I don't know if when Lainez came in, if he wasn't told take Ream to the end line one time before you start cutting in, because when he positioned himself on this specific play, he positioned himself to take away the end line. But the problem is, where does Diego Lainez want to go? To his
he wants to cut in.
He's going to go left all day long, and my God, you stand on that edge, you make him go to the right. And even in my case, this, even if you think, well, he wants to go to the end line, okay, let him go to the end line.
You take your luck to hopefully he gets you take your luck to say, I'll push him to the end line so that he has a sharp angle cross that hopefully our guys can deal with.
Cannot position yourself and give the central lane for him to cut in to take that shot. You cannot do it. I don't understand it. But then
it was Tim Ream getting, he was slow. He wasn't even slow for pace. He was slow-footed. He didn't react well.
It was the goal. It bothered me a little bit because I don't want to take anything away from Lainez. Lainez is a good player. He really is. You know, obviously we hate Eltree, but the kid can play. So I want him to do well
at his club situation because I want Concacaf to do well. And I hate that. That's where I am,
100%.
Because he's really a talented player.
Yeah, the fact that he hasn't scored for club is weird, but he cuts in.
Kind of funny.
Ream was there. Ream was close to him, but didn't close him down. Now Acosta came over to help, and then McKenzie stepped in behind. And I don't know if you noticed, the shot went through McKenzie's legs. So you had Ream cutting to the right, Acosta to his left, and McKenzie straight ahead. So you had three defenders, and he goes through still and beats the keeper. It was, I don't want to say it was a lucky goal, but with the shot, he made the mark. That's one of the things why I wish we would do.
The quickness with which he got that ball off his foot is why it beat everyone the way it did.
Exactly.
It was as soon as he saw Tim Ream unbalanced, he's like, cool, great.
And Chucky Lozano did it to us on the right, on the left side, cutting into his right a couple times. We have the players that can do it. Why not do it? Yeah, and it's so frustrating.
It was a frustrating goal because it was until honestly that whole second half until Lainez came on, we felt very in control of ourselves in the game. Yeah. But 2 minutes later, the guy with the best smile on the team gets us back on the board and ties it up. Good build-up play wins us the corner kick. Reyna delivers from the left side, delivers a ball to the back post for Weston McKennie. Again, jumps. I don't know. Maybe it's the mile-high air. He got more, he wasn't thin air. He's able to jump higher. I don't know, but that man got up and just heads that ball directly down right at the post. Ochoa can't keep it out. He gets a hand on it. He can't keep it out. And we are tied again at 2-2. And Weston McKennie on set pieces is my aphrodisiac because it gets me excited.
It was beautiful. He was wearing Reebok pumps or something. I mean, my God, he was getting up, and there was nothing Mexico could do about it.
Nothing.
But I mean,
this is something to legitimately mark, like, again, when we have to play them in World Cup qualifying.
Oh, you've got to account for that. But he put it exactly where you have to put it, and Ochoa couldn't do anything about it. Couldn't do anything about it.
And the thing that I loved after the general Weston McKennie-ness was the ball is clearly in, like the net's ruffled. Jordan Siabashi just goes in and heads it over again.
Just to make
sure / a little bit like, yeah, we scored that.
Yeah, I love it.
It was great. We're tied 2-2. 83rd minute, Tyler Adams makes an appearance, which again, I think this was very much due to the fact that, yes, being healthy and being fit are two different things. He does come on in the 83rd minute along with Sebastian Lletget as Tim Ream leads finally, and Gio Reyna comes off. Kellen Acosta, I will say that he did better than Ream as the left back. Adams and Acosta, along with McKennie, gave that defensive mobility that we had been lacking with Tim Ream. All three of those guys really stepped up and played really well.
Yeah, I think at that point with Acosta moving over to left back, it was less about tactical advances, in attack. It was more of sit your butt back there and stop Lainez from doing what he was doing. It was out of necessity. You had to make that move. Could you have put A-Rob on? Yeah, I guess. But I think he wanted to have more strength in midfield and fresh legs in midfield. Right. And Acosta showed his worth, his versatility. He didn't have a perfect game, and he got lost in possession.
He had
sometimes.
some issues in possession, sure.
But I think it's pretty clear he jumped Yule in the sixth depth chart last night.
This is where I stand with that because, again, as you said earlier, these are backups. But the thing that Jackson Ewell was brought in to do, he didn't do well at all. He's brought in to control tempo, to pass the ball, to find big diags, to work with the center backs, to connect them to the attackers, and he didn't do that at all. On top of also getting lost in possession, and on top of also just being easy to get past defensively. Acosta, I felt, yes, he got caught in possession, but when he had chances, he was, for the most part, at least moving the ball well enough.
You could tell he played quicker. He was a bit more energetic, and he has more athleticism than Jackson Ewell.
It wasn't perfect, and they weren't great. We talked about a couple of times where, he didn't make a great pass, but it was still quicker, right? So I'd rather that happen where you make a bad pass than get caught in possession, which but that's not, if you're rating Kellen Acosta, that's not where he's his best. He's best at, recovering the ball. And I thought he did that pretty well. He made some good ball recoveries throughout the game. And as a left back, he continued that. So anyway, moving on to the 90th minute, the first big save we get from Ethan Horvath. Free kick for Mexico at the top right corner of the box, just outside after Tyler Adams gets beat by Lainez and fouls him, luckily outside of the box. Not really cleared. Chucky Lozano collects it, and this shot was a rocket that was headed to the top left corner.
Beautiful shot.
And Ethan Horvath gets his big right paw across, perfect goalkeeping for him. He's sprawled out, gets that right hand up to give him just a little bit more leverage and keeps it away. Keeps us tied 2-2.
I tweeted that Ethan Horvath is now to be known as Big Easy.
Okay.
and here's the reason why. He's so just calm and just he doesn't ever look to be too excited.
Mm-hmm.
And Ethan, right, starts with the E. And then he just comes up big. He came in. He started and played against Italy a couple of years ago in a friendly. Came up big, had a great match.
Yep.
Concacaf, or I'm not Concacaf. UEFA Champions League this year for Bruges had to make a little spot start. Played extremely well last night. Coming in for an injured Stefan out of nowhere. You're cold. You're not thinking you're going to play, and he comes in and was huge. So just comes up big in huge moments. Big easy. I mean, that save was beautiful, like you said. Got that the top hand over, makes that save. Chucky Lozano was just beside himself. He couldn't believe that save was made. I couldn't believe the save was made. It was a beautiful shot.
It was beautiful.
How can you not like what Ethan Horvath had done?
Well, and then he does it like a minute later. We kind of clear a corner, but Mexico keeps possession. They go back to Ochoa. Ochoa goes long because Way is pressuring him. That was nice. Mm-hmm. He goes long. No one's really heading. I think it was Lozano. He just flicks on a header to Romo, who is just open at the top of the box and stings one. And again, Horvath comes up big.
Yeah.
Even though he was offside, don't care. That was a big save.
Yeah, and the announcer said,
I do care he's offside.
the keeper in those moments, he doesn't know he's offside. If they hadn't called that offside, he has to make that play. He has to make that save, and he did. It was huge.
Yep. It was a great night from Horvath. 92nd minute, 90th plus 2 minutes. Hector Herrera does this thing where he kicks. I mean, I'll give him a little bit of credit, not credit, but I'll give him a little bit of a pass in that it wasn't as Ethan Horvath was a little slow to come up his line because John Brooks shielded the ball away. Right. Mm-hmm. Ethan Horvath was a little slow to come get it. It wasn't like it was not 50-50. It was maybe 60-40, but it wasn't like Ethan Horvath had the ball and then Herrera came in like super late. But it was very clearly that he came in with studs pointed at Ethan Horvath, which is a trend for this man. That he gets a card for that, which he should have.
Absolutely.
And then chaos ensues. And this was really the start of the chaos. And it didn't ever die down. And this is why Mexico lost the game. I'm sorry, you can't tell me any different. They got so wrapped up in trying to push back and be the bullies that they didn't focus on making the plays that they needed to make to win the game. Mm-hmm. And it started there with Herrera kicking Horvath, and then crap happens. Somehow Yedlin gets a yellow card for Mexico doing all of that. I think this was the same time that McKinney got his someone put his hands on McKinney's throat, and somehow Yedlin gets a yellow card for all that. It was not good. And then right before the end of the half or the match, the regulation, the word happens. And this is the second time in a row that this has happened in Mexico's matches. They both happened in the 90th minute, but they also both happened right after a little bit of a fracas on the field. Because that Costa Rica match, Costa Rica and Mexico kind of jawed a little bit after a foul. Apparently the word was said from the stands. They stopped the match. Now, I'm glad CONCACAF is trying to stop that, but this just feels so trivial when it happened in Mexico's friendly against Iceland. So what are the actual punishments for this? You know,
it happens almost every single match they play.
I mean, it does. It does.
Little statements and words, they're not going to make a difference. And these little step 1, step 2, step 3, all that's doing is giving the Mexican internationals and the fans a free timeout, basically.
Yeah. And I'll give the Mexico players a lot of credit in the fact that you could see on their faces they were just so annoyed by that. They're it was they're like literally they're like, what? Grow up. I think that's literally the kind of concept they have. And I said this on Soccer Down Here this morning. CONCACAF has told them, you can't do this. Lo que mal es mal. What is wrong is wrong. And they said, okay, well, we're still going to do it. Like, I'm sure you've had this with your daughters. You say, no, you can't have that. And they want to go get it. No, you cannot have cookies until after dinner. What do? Try to go get a cookie. And that's how the Mexican players or the Mexican fans are acting in this moment. They're acting like spoiled brats because they were told they couldn't do something.
There's times as a parent where you've got to make a punishment sting enough. It's like you learn not to touch a hot pot, right? You touch it, it burns you. It stings enough to where you don't do it again. So all these little statements that the Mexican Federation's making and CONCACAF is coming out and saying it's going to be step one, step two, none of that stings the offender. So until they sit there and say, you can't come to matches anymore, or you have the Mexican fans have a 3, 4, 5 match ban, something like that. Mm-hmm. Until that happens, until it stings them enough, it's not going to stop.
I'll talk about that in later episodes maybe, but I'll just say this. I understand that CONCACAF as a whole can't police that and who they sell tickets to at their events like this, because you can say, oh, we're not selling tickets to Mexico fans. Well, you don't know who is a Mexico fan, especially in the United States. We have plenty of Mexican Americans who go to these games. Mm-hmm. I'll also say that this is not the majority of their fans. I think that's very clear, especially Mexican Americans. I think it's very clear. But at some point, you have to punish the entire fan base. Last thing about this, so 2-2, we had an extra time. First over extra time period was pretty boring, except for Hector Herrera should have been sent off. Little scrap in the middle, balls kind of flying everywhere. Herrera goes in with his studs up against Tim Weah, who gets hurt. That should have been a red card. It's not a red card foul, but it's absolutely a yellow card foul. He should have been out of this game.
That's one of the biggest frustrations I have with all soccer. When there's a foul, if it is a yellow card offense, it doesn't matter that a player is on a yellow already.
A yellow card.
If it's a yellow card, it's a yellow card. And if it happens to be the second, then it's the second.
Yep.
It
seemed like the referee thought that.
That's 100%. He knew that he was on a second yellow or on a yellow already. And my thing is, dude, you are already trying to make the match about yourself in the first place. Why not go ahead and make it even more about you? Yeah. Throw him out. It was a yellow card, and that's one of my biggest frustrations. I cannot stand that crap.
It should have been a second yellow card, and Mexico should have been playing with 10 men. Right before the end of this first extra time period, Cannon replaces Yedlin. I thought Yedlin put in a good shift, but obviously at that point, I think that's we need a fresh right back.
Yeah. He had already gone down for treatment too. His hamstring, calf, something like that. He had given everything he had for sure.
All right. So the second extra time period was incredibly fun. 108th minute. We regained possession for Mexico. We hit a long ball up to Weah, who hits it to Leggett, kind of like parries it off to the side. Good hold-up play, kind of almost by Tim Weah. Hits it to Leggett, who passes it to Pifok, who, again, very good hold-up play, just kind of lays it off to Weah again. Weah puts Cannon through on the right side, edge of the box. Pulisic shows for the ball pretty casually, I thought. It wasn't like he darted. It was like a jog, but not like a sprint. Shows for the ball inside the area. He's already in the area when he takes the ball, takes a touch forward, and is brought down by 2 Mexican defenders. I will say that initially I thought the referee was probably right. And when I even saw the first replay, I was like, yeah, okay, there's some contact. But it was contact. In my opinion, it was like, no, they got the ball. There was contact. It happens. Come on. What did you think in live action?
Same exact thing. I thought, it's that initial reaction when you see one of your players go down. You're like, but then upon looking at it, I'm thinking, he's got it right. It wasn't until that the reverse angle where it showed, and it's like, okay, hold on. This might be a penalty, and they slowed it down, and you can see he steps in front and clips him before he makes contact with the ball.
Yep.
And it was,
and that's a foul.
Fucking half a second, but it doesn't matter. That's a foul.
Yeah. And you're right. That's the foul. And it is the reason why you have VAR, because I don't fault the referee for not making that call in live action, because where he is and where his position, he was in fine position, but where he looked, he was like, yeah, okay, well, he got the ball. Cool. Moving on. But that's why you have it. So he goes to VAR, says almost immediately the ball is cleared out by Mexico. VAR comes down and says, yo, take a second look at this. So he goes over to the monitor. For some reason, the Mexican coaching staff thinks it's okay to touch a referee. I'm saying this right now to everyone. Never touch a referee, especially when it's in any way, shape, or form during a controversial moment. Now, if you're, giving the ref on a pat on the back or shaking his hand, I get it, whatever. It's a referee, that's fine. But do not touch referees. It's the same. It's the same rule with flight attendants. Do not touch flight attendants. Do not touch referees. Things will go poorly. Tata Martino learned. Tata, while the referee's looking over the monitor, puts his hands around. I don't know, Tata. That was so dumb. You were trying to get a look too.
Well, he was
you can't do that.
He was it was like he was joking, and it's dude.
And he gets a red card. The ref turns around, looks gobsmacked and pissed at the same time. Immediate red card. And then Tata, I don't think, left immediately. He didn't realize what had happened. So referee gets up. He says, hey, he does his big gesture like he's waving a magic wand. Penalty. So annoying. Whatever. And the Mexican fans go crazy. It was so bad. The Mexican fans go crazy. And, hey, I'm not going to say unjustified. It was justifiable. They were mad. Mexican players go in absolute berserk. Coaching staff is not happy. Ref's trying to clear it all out. Then, while trying to sort that out, has to go back and take care of the fact that Tata hasn't left the bench yet. Has to then go back. And at this time, I clocked it. So, again, I said 108 is when this foul happens. We didn't take this penalty until 1:15. Finally. Pulisic finally gets up to take the penalty at 1:15. Concacaf is the right word for that. So, how were you feeling before Puli hit this penalty kick?
So, at first, I'd heard something about the announcer saying, Pulisic grabbed the ball. And knowing his history with penalties, he's not been that, just stone cold killer.
Not a killer.
But the fact that he had that confidence, it gave me a little bit of confidence. I said, okay, bud, do your thing. I did notice, and I'd like to point out the fact that the Mexican team or the Mexican players just completely ripped to shreds the spot for his plant foot.
That's what they were doing while Tata had to be kicked off again.
Yeah, of course. They knew what they were doing. And there's got to be some sort of repercussions for that type of stuff. After the match is over, FIFA should review, and if a player is found doing something like that, because that can cause injury. I'm just gonna be honest with you, it can cause an injury if you slip. There's no sense in that. There should be fines handed out.
Step wrong there, you're tearing an ACL possibly. It's the same thing that happened to Joseph up in Nashville last year.
Yeah, so
all shade on that one up in Nashville.
That's complete nonsense. I have a problem with that, but none of that phased Pulisic. He sat there. That's a long, long time to think about a penalty. I've taken penalties. I'm not very good at them. It's, some people are good, some people are not. And you have to have some sort of it's almost like this cocky swagger to it. And he stepped up. You heard him in the post-match interview. He said, if I was going to go out swinging, I was going to go top bins. Mm-hmm. And he did. My God, he did.
Yeah, he blasted top bin. Credit to Memo Ochoa. He guesses the right way. He's a very good penalty kick saver. And Pulisic just flat out beat him. And immediately that shirt is ripped off. And he and his friends dart to that corner. And, we're basking in the glory as Coke bottles and cups and trash rain down on them, shushing that Mexican crowd. And, it was
so sick.
It was iconic. And it was one of those moments where we're going to have that picture forever in the annals of this rivalry.
I'm getting it printed. I'm getting it printed. I'm getting it matted and framed.
Beautiful.
So
it's my new cover photo on the Soccer for Us pod. Make sure you follow us.
Beautiful.
I do want to talk again about Mexican fans being anti the beautiful game. This is not the beautiful game. This is not the spirit of the game under which we all try to play and interact. I actually dislike this more than the discriminatory words coming out of the stands, because this is actually putting players in danger. And I mean that very sincerely, because Gio Reyna takes a full Coke bottle to the temple and has to get a concussion check. So I'm all for CONCACAF saying, no, don't say this word. Don't say anything discriminatory, racist, homophobic, sexist, all that. Very in love with that. We need to continue that.
Yeah.
But the fact that these fans throw, and this is not the only time it happens, continually throw garbage or other things at players during matches is unacceptable.
It's
and
disgusting.
Is more of a threat than a word being said. And like Jason Longshore and I were talking about this morning, that you can actually find people who did. You can't identify necessarily someone who says the bad word or says a racist remark. It's harder to find that, right?
Yeah.
When you have video cameras all around these stadiums, you can see who threw the thing. It is not hard to then identify them, and you have their ticket data. You know who bought the tickets. They gone.
Yeah.
You're not welcome back at a CONCACAF event. Nothing. Bye.
I heard Jason talking about this morning, and he's 100% right. It's got to be a ban, and it's hard. Like last night, there were hundreds of people doing it. So in that situation, then you look at the players that got hit, and then you trace that throw, and you pick out and you single out those fans. Well, it's not fair. Everybody threw it. I don't care. You got to do something. And then in situations where it's a solo event or a singular event, you find out who it was. Trey Young in New York. When
the guy who got spat on. They did it in Boston. Someone threw something at someone.
To me, honestly, they should be arrested. It's assault. 100% arrest them. Ban them.
At the very least, they need to be banned.
At the very least. It's the most disgusting act.
And it started before the penalty kick even started. As soon as the ref said penalty kick, they started doing it. It's not okay. That's unacceptable. You wouldn't do that in real life. You don't get to do that in the sports arena.
Yep.
So that happens. 4 minutes later, Mexico take a corner. A short corner. Again, I don't know. Again, it happens. Romo heads it right into Acosta's arm. His arm is absolutely not. Was it Acosta or McKenzie?
I think it was McKenzie.
I thought it was Acosta. Okay.
Are you sure?
Hit their arm. I thought it was Acosta, but whatever. Hits their arm. The ball is clear. Or the arm is clearly not close to their body. The ball is clearly headed toward goal. I personally, as a referee, would not award that a penalty because of the distance the ball traveled from head to arm and the speed at which it was traveled. I would have said, look, there's no way they could have done anything about that. You move on. But under VAR, and this is where I'm using that line again, I don't agree with him using this logic, but I can't argue the logic that he used because he came to the correct decision based on logic he used. I don't think he was necessary. I think he looked at where the arm was in relation to the body. I think he also was looking at the direction that ball was heading, right? Because that is denying a goal scoring opportunity with your hand, right? The ball was headed toward goal. Yeah. And I think that was really the and I know this because so when I was watching the VAR, I noticed him specifically ask for the straight on angle because he wanted to see the angle of the ball. And I think the direction of the ball toward goal is what did it.
Yeah. It was one of those, before I even saw it, I was thinking because of how, quote unquote soft the penalty that we received.
As soon as he went to VAR, I was like,
CONCACAF, it's going to be a makeup call. He's going to award this. Then it did finally go, and we started getting looks at it. My thing was, when the ball was hit, the arm was actually, it was in the motion of being pulled towards the body.
Yes.
Like it was, what I'm saying? Like it was like it was being close. It was closed in, and it just happened to hit it. It's one of those things where I can see it be called a penalty. I can see where it's not a called a penalty. It being CONCACAF, being a final, it was 100% going to be a makeup call regardless.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
But ball don't lie.
Yep.
Ethan Horvath comes up massive. So that happens at 119 is when that happens off that corner kick. At 102, after he goes to VAR and looks at the monitor, the penalty is finally given. The U.S. go into full CONCACAF mode as well. Not to the level of harassment that Mexico did, but, talking to the referee, asking questions, saying, no, that's not right. Slow to get out of the area. Then we get a little chippy. And Pulisic takes that time to walk back into the penalty area and talk to Horvath, and then slowly leaves the area. So, again, these are tactics that people use. 104, the penalty is finally taken. Or 124, excuse me, the penalty is finally taken. Again, this is 5 minutes after the initial foul happened. Guardado goes to his left, very low, Horvath's right, but it was not as it was like a 6.5, 7 out of 10 penalty. It wasn't that great. It was low and hard, but it was that where it was hit was kind of center left or center right, depending on where you're looking at. But Horvath gets his hand, he guesses right, gets his hand down low, saves it, and then he collects it again, and we clear it. Wow.
I'm pretty sure this is where I woke up my neighbors, and my throat hurt so bad this morning. I lost it, and my favorite part was when Guardado hit it. When he hit it, and it gets saved, he immediately drops to his knees, which was so amazing. Just that absolute heartbreak.
Guardado has been playing this match since the 2007 Gold Cup final.
Yes. Oh, and I hate it.
He's been a fixture of USA Mexico.
Absolutely, and he's killed us. It was so sweet to see that, and then like you said, it cycles around a couple moments before it finally gets kind of pushed back in, and Horvath makes the save again and falls to the ground. But what was cool was as soon as he makes the save, the ball's still alive, and you could see several of the players they wanted to go rush him. They're like, "Oh, we're still playing."
Props to Horvath for keeping his head and making sure the other guys kept his head. So that was the defining moment, right? We get our penalty, we convert. They get theirs, they don't. It's 3-2 at this point. We have the lead, and at that point, so I mentioned the penalty wasn't even taken when we started stoppage time in the second half of extra time. That all ended up at 125. We're already 5 minutes into play, but only 5 minutes of stoppage time given. That was incredibly low. I'm not mad. I'm just saying that was comically low. Then at 7th minute of stoppage time, we have a pitch invader. That was fun. 129th minute, McKinney gets the throw in, launches it down the line to Pulisic, who gets a foul deep in the area, and things happen. Guardado tries to grab Pulisic, and our players don't react well. Things get thrown on the field again. Guardado tries to throw hands at McKinney and somehow doesn't get anything for it. And then 2 minutes later, the whistle blows, and we have won 3-2. They all run to Ethan Horvath and dogpile there. And the U.S. has won the inaugural CONCACAF champion. CONCACAF. I'm going to do that again. And the U.S. has won the inaugural Concacaf Nations League over Mexico. Felt good.
I mean, it felt incredible. And, we talked about how in the beginning of the show, you couldn't script some of this stuff. The fact that Horvath wasn't even going to play. He's on the bench. He's cold. He has to step in and, come to find I didn't know this. Denver's his hometown. And
he's a Colorado kid.
And he does that. I mean,
how awesome
that's you can't write that.
Yeah. All right. So we are an hour and 30 minutes into this podcast, and I would apologize, but we're excited. We're pumped that we beat Mexico.
It was worth it.
Let's go. Okay, so let's do some player evaluations. I want to do like you're a teacher assigning a report card at the end of the year, A through F. Let's go through these players and kind of just evaluate their performance. So we'll start at the back. Zach Steffen. How do you grade Zach Steffen?
I mean, a couple bad moments. Had a huge save against Chucky Lozano. So probably C+, probably. I feel like that's harsh, but
no, I'm with you. It was above average. I think he didn't do anything to hurt us or to help. He did some things to help us, but he did some things that were not productive. I would definitely go with the C+ for Zach Steffen. Mark McKenzie, your grade for McKenzie?
I'm going to give him a solid C. The reason why, straight off the bat, it could have been a D or an F, but the fact that like I said, I like him. He's got talent. He made some mistakes, but he stayed strong. And the mental fortitude to overcome that mistake and then play a solid match, it's going to knock him up. I'm going to give him probably a C.
Okay. John Brooks? I agree. I'll give McKenzie a C, by the way. So Brooks.
John Brooks, probably a B minus, not because he did anything wrong. He didn't do anything incredible. It was just a solid performance. Solid B.
I give him a B+. I probably may have given him an A, but I think he was a little too chippy with the referee early on, and that cost him that yellow card. But I give him a B+. Tim Ream.
I don't want to kill the guy. I'm going to give him a D. There was a beautiful slide tackle that led to a chance, actually. Probably could have been a foul. The fact that it wasn't a foul, I'll take it all day long. So he had some moments, but the fact that he got beat over and over and over again, which, to be honest, it's not necessarily his fault that he's slow. That's Berhalter's fault for putting him in there, but it can't be anything more than a D.
I think the reason he started this game is because Chris Richards wasn't available. Because if not, Chris Richards is your left center back. And I think Ream did okay in certain parts. Like, I do think that he did a decent job when he was running with the player upfield with their back to goal. He did a pretty decent job of defending that. I thought he was, again, pretty okay with passing, but I'm going with a D+ because I'm not saying I don't want to ever see him with the national team again or that his time is finally done, because we have a long and grueling World Cup qualifying process and you need all the bodies you can get.
Yep.
I'm not confident when he's in our lineup. Let's just put it that way. And I don't think this did anything to give me a reason why I think I should be more confident.
Yeah.
DeAndre Yedlin, right wing back.
Nothing crazy bad, nothing crazy good. I'm just going to give him a C. I feel like I'm being harsh with these things. I guess the way I'm looking at it is like, the A's are for really, really, really solid performances. So, I mean, I could be talked into like a C+, B-, splitting hairs there.
I go with the C+. I think this is my general take on this entire game is that we won, but don't pretend like this was somehow a great performance. We won,
right?
Though.
Yeah.
So yeah, C+ for Yedlin for me. Weston McKennie, I am giving him a B+ because I think maybe an A- actually. I'll give him an A- because I think his goals, he contributed to goals. He was a leader on the field. And I think he was fairly okay disrupting play, and he was really good in attack for the most part. So I'm going to give him an A-.
I that's where I'm at. A- for him. Okay. You can't take away the goal, the header that led to Reyna's goal, the defensive
another header that
he made. Yeah. I mean, and then his leadership on the field. I'm good with
that. Kellen Acosta, I am giving Kellen Acosta a solid B because I thought he did pretty well at that left back role. Yeah. But B means that you have things that you can improve.
Oh, absolutely.
He did more than just do the assignment, but he still can improve on things.
Yeah, I'd be fine with a low B, a B-. But a B, I'm perfectly fine with. I think I liked what he offered. The the energy he had, the one touch combining that he was playing with, and then the fact that he moved from a central midfield position to left back to help the team to do what the team needed in that moment. He showed versatility. He showed composure, and I think he earned more time, especially in qualifiers.
So, yeah, I think Kellen Acosta, to your point that you made, he jumped Yule in the depth chart, and that deserves some praise. So that's why I give him that B. Sergino Dest, not his best game, but I still feel like he was a solid B- because I thought that he was pretty good in attack.
Yeah, I don't
think he was bad defensively. I just think he wasn't great.
It was almost just C. I was going to say C+. I'm okay with B-. I'd probably lean more C+ just because he didn't really – nothing came of anything.
Yeah, that's true. It's valid.
He wasn't poor, but he wasn't good. It was just it was there. Like I said, I think he had a lot of minutes on his legs, and it showed. And I think also the moment was big, and he's young. It happens.
Very true. Gio Reyna, I give this kid an A. To be quite honest, I thought he was pretty good all day. I thought he did some great defensive work. He shifted well and back as the right winger in the 4-4-2, or right wing, right midfield, if you will, in the 4-4-2. He got a goal. I thought he was very good. I give him an A.
I'm perfectly fine with that. I think he just every match that he's playing with the U.S., he's getting better and better and better. He looked to be probably the most dangerous player we had on the field versus Honduras.
Yep.
So, last night versus Mexico, it's hard it's easy to forget that he's 18 years old. He just plays. It really is. He plays with such composure. He's so confident on the ball, and he's dangerous. And I'm perfectly fine with that grade.
Josh Sargent.
Same thing. Probably C+, B-.
I'm at a C+. I don't.
One
think
of those.
Yeah,
it's one of those performances where it wasn't. He didn't do anything to really hurt us necessarily. Didn't do anything to help us. He was there. He made some really nice defensive plays. I think he could have done better on that 1v1. Well, I say 1v1. He had a guy on his shoulder, but and honestly, I think going back to that, I think why he lost balance is he thought he was going to get shouldered a bit more, so he leaned into that. And I think that's what threw him off. Which, hey, maybe that's experience defending there.
Something to learn.
Yeah, but I'm C+, B-.
Christian Pulisic.
Up until the penalty, man, I'd probably go with a C.
It was a very average night for him.
Well, he was almost invisible in certain moments, which, and it kind of goes with Sargent as well. I don't want to say it's completely on the players. I think the system failed us, and some tactics kind of let us down a little bit.
And Mexico defended him well.
Yeah, absolutely. The quality side. But I think Pulisic, he found the game. He took it by the horns, and he, especially the penalty that he earned, he made that happen. And then the confidence at that point, once he put that in, you could see, he was just dripping with confidence at that point. So I'm going to say probably B+ for Pulisic.
Screw it. I'm giving the kid an A+. You got the game-winning goal. You had the stones to take that penalty kick, and you did it, and you blasted it through. Don't talk to me about the rest of the game. Give him an A+ for that. That's all I care about. All right, guys who did get in. Tim Weah. I thought Tim Weah was pretty good. I'm going to give him a B- only because it was – actually, no, I'll give him a solid B, but that's not his fault. He didn't really have a whole game to really influence, but I thought it was a solid B.
Man, I'll tell you what, Tim Weah earned some more minutes. I think he's going to play a huge role in qualifying. Absolutely, he should. Like we talked about earlier, the energy that he comes on with and his intentionality every time he steps on the ball, it's just you can see he's wanting to do something.
I want to see him start against Costa Rica. Give Pulisic or Reyna a rest. Put Weah up top.
And I think he will.
Yeah, I think he has to for minutes things to begin with.
Yeah.
Who is next? Ethan Horvath.
A plus.
A plus, man. I don't care. A plus. You won the game
Absolutely.
for us.
He gave up I say he gave up the goal, but that's not really on him. Number one, he had just come in. And
I
then
don't think the goal was the no keeper's really saving that goal. That was
that's what I'm saying. Like,
goal
it's not, you can't put that on him. But then every single moment after that, he was up for it. There's A plus. What's higher than A plus? Give him that.
Yeah. That's fair. All right, so we had Horvath. Let's go next to Sebastian Lletget.
I don't even know if you can really.
He did create the chance. He helped create the chance that Pooley got the penalty kick on. So for that, I give him a B minus.
But yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. He didn't. It's another one of those. Didn't do much.
Maybe a C plus. It wasn't great.
Yeah, right there.
Jordan Pifak.
Probably the same. C plus, B minus. It was one of those. It's hard to rate these
guys.
Big of a difference. Yeah, he had some good defensive moments. Had some decent little hold up moments when we tried to play it long, try to get them out of our end. He played a part. It's just hard to give a rating,
Yeah. Tyler Adams.
Like you said, being fit or being healthy and match fit, two different things. So you'd love to have him from the start, but there's no way he could have done it. So him coming on, what was it, the 82nd? I think he played a huge role. Acosta going out left back, they doubled Lainez almost every time they were out there. His energy was high. Just being a disruptor out there. I'm going to go B plus.
Is this team
100%. I'm going to go B plus.
Yeah. I think B plus is perfectly fine for Tyler Adams. And the last one was Reggie Cannon. Again, he was very influential on the Christian Pulisic goal. He was okay defensively. I'm going to give him a B. I thought he was solid.
Yeah,
very solid.
He didn't hurt himself. I'm perfectly fine with that. Yeah.
All right, so the last one is Greg Berhalter. What's your grade for Greg Berhalter?
It's kind of one of those Pulisic ones, right? You got the early stuff with the lineup showing up before we've ever stepped foot on the field, and you're just like, God, give him an F, right? But he made quality substitutions. The energy and the confidence that he has built within this squad can't go unnoticed. The fact that they will clearly run through a wall for him. And at the end of the day, he did what he was supposed to do. We won the Concacaf Nations League. So I think regardless of anything else, you've got to give him a B plus, A minus, A, solid A. It's got to be something around there.
I'm grading him on a pass fail, and he passed. That's it.
There you go.
I do not care to talk about why I still didn't think his system worked all that well and why I still think that we struggled to actually be the possession team, but we passed because we won the damn thing, and that's all
100%,
that matters.
100%.
All right, Caleb, we have talked for so long about this match because we won. We talked for almost as long as the match went on. USA beats Mexico 1-0 in the inaugural Concacaf Nations League final. We are the champions of Concacaf. I guess that's how it works. Whatever. We won a cup. We beat Mexico. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Soccer for Us. Where can we find your work?
USMNT Corner on Twitter. I just put an Instagram page out too, just in case people want to follow me there. It's just something to do, right? But it's been a long day. We beat Mexico. That's all that matters, right?
That's all that matters. I appreciate your time. Again, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Soccer for Us Pod. Subscribe to Soccer Down Here on whatever podcast you're listening to. I will have a short preview of the Costa Rica match and the women's friendlies coming up in their summer series. But for now, thanks for listening. I'm Bart. I'm out.